first time ever.
Hear you loud and clearly.
And it was going place.
That stuff's great.
But the game is not a roguelike.
Boomer shooter.
Bang.
Hello, this is John St. John, and you're listening to KEEP in the Keep, bringing you all the hits from the finest in the world of gaming and entertainment. Now sit back and relax as the drowned god Cthulhu lulls your mind with the tastiest talk in town.
Welcome to another chapter of In the Keep podcast. I'm your very own prophet of the drowned god, the Motherlode. The Keep is a collective of gaming enthusiasts compelled by the drowned god Cthulhu to frag and jib one another into oblivion for all eternity. So this episode features a guy that I've been trying to get on this fucking podcast for like 2 years. This is Em3raldTig3r. He is a prolific mapper, especially in the world of, Quake 3 and Quake Live, has maps that have been featured in, the official Quake Live game, and is just a really, really interesting guy, just a very thoughtful individual. And God, you don't understand how long I've wanted to have this guy on the fucking show, man. And I knew that this was going to be one that a lot of people, the original members of the Keep, like, Smango and Gelmo, a lot of the people like on the team wanted to hear on the show, and finally we got it to happen. But we're just shooting the shit, talking about his awesome mod, which is called Uber Arena. It's for Quake 3. Really just changes the game. And not, I've mentioned already that he's a mapper, but the high level programming out of this guy is fantastic. Oh, sorry, that's Mrs. Motherlode yelling at Mario Kart downstairs. Apologies. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, like the technicalities of the game and just different ideas this guy has. But he's actually, still a college student, and he's working his way through learning computer science. And this is one of those fellas that I can definitely see in a few years going on to work on some crazy fucking AAA shit. And we're all going to be like wishing that we had been kissing his ass a long time ago. But we'll go ahead and apologize in advance. This has been a really fucking weird time for audio lately for me. So usually I record the podcast with what's called CraigBot, which is a really cool bot for Discord that allows multi-track recording in a voice channel. If you're a podcaster, I definitely recommend picking it up for your remote recordings. But lately, for some reason, it's been having issues connecting to the server. I've got to figure them out. I will, but these have been recorded on OBS, so that is why. That said, this is not the most high quality audio production I've ever done. First of all, Em3raldTig3r has not the greatest microphone in the world. No big deal. I can usually edit around that, but because it's not multi-track, I can, only do so much as far as cleaning it up in post without fucking both of our voices up. So you're just going to have to deal with it. Sorry. It's not that bad. It'll be okay. And, it's not worth deleting this whole conversation over a little bit of echo in his voice. It's too good to let that shit get in your way. But hey, I apologize. Let's play some music for you. I think I'm going to play some stuff by Immorpher, the fucking beast, the greatest dark ambient musician on planet Earth. Love all his stuff. Very famous in the world of, Quake 1 mapping especially. Chill, dig it. Don't let it put you in too dark of a place, and soon you'll be in the Keep with Em3raldTig3r.
Uber Arena I guess you could say it's basically this huge experiment that it has a lot of different ideas that just kind of came together. And over time, as I got better at programming, I decided to finally, take those ideas and make them into reality, make them into this big experimental project. And some of the inspiration for doing so was Quake Champions. Quake Champions, that id Software is really trying to push forward this, the new Champions mechanic. They're wanting to kind of put their new spin on arena FPS. And I understand that it's controversial. There's some people who agree with the idea, some people who don't. I don't really have any personal opinions toward the mechanic or not, but I understand why some people might not care for it. So I guess the motivation for me to do Uber Arena was to kind of provide like an alternative evolution of the arena FPS genre, one that takes some concepts that I feel might be more faithful to the formula that where people might not agree with what Champions has done, but they might see potential in the ideas that I'm going forward with.
So how long have you been working on it? Because I've only been aware of it since like 2018.
So the mod was released in 2018. I think May 2018. But of course, I've been working on it for a good while. The mod didn't really start taking shape until very early 2018, maybe late 2017. But long before then, I've been experimenting with programming with Tech3, with the Quake 3 source code, and just trying out all sorts of stuff, even as far back as 2014. Like back in the day, I was pretty terrible at programming. I just didn't understand the code base. So I was like, what do I do? Everything's so confusing, but everything just slowly started making more sense as I kind of got deeper and deeper into it and everything. Over time, I tried out some different, mechanics, different ideas I always kind of had in my head. And then eventually I had enough of those ideas that I could make a full-fledged mod out of them, that I could all compile them together into a mod, that people would actually want to check out. And that's how the idea was born. It's basically a huge experiment, and it's a little unfocused. I heard some people say it's a little unfocused, which I do agree with. No, it's definitely not. It definitely doesn't really have any specific goal in mind other than trying to revitalize the arena FPS genre, trying to add in some new ideas, to evolve the genre and move it forward, while still, keeping the core principles that make arena FPS what it is. Being competitive, requiring, thinking and strategy, preserving all those important concepts.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is, as you said, it is a bit on the unfocused side. It doesn't really seem to have any particular goal and all, but it seems like a big experiment, and a lot of different ideas that you've had. And, Quake 3 is a really special game to me, and I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this podcast, but to kind of take a lot of the things that people, don't like, your advertisement for Uber Arena was like no loadouts, no champions, no item timers, and just like everything that kind of makes the game difficult in the first place. And just, let's see what it looks like stripped down to just the basic core elements.
Item timing and everything is still in there, but like part of my advertising was to definitely kind of contrast it with Quake Champions, which is and also there's another Quake Live at one point. They had this whole loadouts thing that they implemented. I think they took it out after some community response where most people didn't care for it. But at one point they did try a thing where you could have loadouts, and that along with the Champions thing, I kind of use that as a selling point. As Uber Arena doesn't have these things that you didn't like, so we're trying to keep it. We're trying to keep this as pure as possible, but while still expanding on it, in a way that still keeps the skill of Quake, in arena FPS.
So when did you originally, get into game creation and I guess programming in your case?
Long before I started programming, I got into level design. Way back in 2009, I started building stuff for Quake 2, some single player maps, which never saw the light of day. Just a bunch of small projects that never really got anywhere, but I did enjoy the process. I learned quite a bit from it. And then into 2010, I started getting into Quake 3 level design, and I was just I really liked the engine. I realized how smooth it was, how easy it was to build stuff for it. And I released my first public map that same year. It was a space capture the flag map called Maximus Overdrive. It definitely has a lot of technical problems. Looking back on it, it's definitely not the best thing, but it was a good stepping stone. And from there, I just steadily improved and just kind of try to figure out how to make things look better. And so in 2011, I was a contestant in the 2011 Maverick Servers mapping competition. I submitted a capture the flag map for that called Tactical Assault. I only got 9th place in it, but nevertheless, I was still happy with the results because I still learned quite a bit, and people gave a lot of great feedback. And plus, I still wanted to game from it, so that was cool. And then later, I made another Quake 3 map called Dynasty, where I really started, to try to focus more, visual detail and attention, and also trying to maintain the gameplay. Was going for a very big, wide, expansive map, kind of Rocket Arena style. I'm a really big fan of those kind of open areas, those kind of maps. And then a few years later, and I would begin work on new server on, which was a Quake 5 CTF map. Started out just as a community map, but then the Quake 5 team, Em3raldTig3r, really liked it, and that new server on did eventually get added to the official Quake 5 map pool in 2014, which was I was really excited when he told me he wanted to add my map. I was that was something I was wanting to try and do for a while, and then it finally happened, and it just kind of felt surreal, like oh my god, it's actually happening, and it was pretty interesting because when it first came out, it got into QuakeCon 2014. There was a bit of controversy because it got taken out temporarily in the QuakeCon 2014 map pool because of some FPS issues in the mid area, and so there was an announcement saying, hey, we're taking this map out, but then there was a backlash from one of the teams because they were practicing a lot from that map before then, and so it quickly got added back into the pool, and then they did end up playing it. Of course, after that, I think it got taken out of the QuakeCon map pool altogether, but it was tried out for a little bit, and it was pretty neat. I got to see some of the demos that they had played on it. It was pretty interesting, fascinating to see some of the top professional players actually trying to navigate navigating my map, and playing it, and taking advantage of all the different things I incorporated in it. It was very much the pinnacle, of what any map crew wants to see is actually seeing that kind of high level play on one of their very own creations. I think that's definitely one of the biggest accomplishments that any mapper can really aspire to or hope for.
Yeah. Do you have aspirations outside of just community mapping and creating small mods, or are you using this as a stepping stone towards something bigger?
This is definitely a stepping stone towards something bigger. Originally, I was wanting to do arts and level design for a good while, but over time I started getting more into programming and coding, and then I found out that maybe I actually enjoyed this more, being able to solve those kind of problems, and I started realizing maybe this resonates with me more than 3D modeling or level design. because I tried to get into 3D modeling myself. I never really could quite, get on the frequency, I guess, get my, head in the game for 3D modeling, but programming was a lot more natural to me. I love being able to, solve logical problems, that kind of good feeling that you get when you're trying to fix a bug and then you solve it and then you just feel like a champion, it's a really good feeling. Yeah. And so back in 2018, I applied for an online university. It's called University of the People. And what's really neat is that it's asynchronous. So like you don't have to attend the classes at a specific time. It's more like they just give you some assignments to do. You just finish them within the week. You submit them. You take your tests. And there's no tuition either. All you have to do is pay for the tests and the security deposit when you first apply for the college. But it was definitely one of the best decisions I made in my life. And just less than a week ago, I finished my associate's degree, and now I'm working towards my bachelor's in computer science. So I'm definitely excited about where that'll be going. I'm hoping that in the future, I can find some good job opportunities out of it, doing something that I enjoy, doing something that I love.
Yeah, it's weird, like how, I don't know, I talk about the pros and cons of school a lot on the show, and I'm never going to try to like discourage anyone. Like if you want an education and you can afford it, absolutely get it. But in your case, if you wanted, work in games, right? The fact that you have, I've got maps that were featured in Quake Live. I've got, examples of what I can do from a programming standpoint in a way that if you're trying to get, hired somewhere, if you're trying to build an audience even for yourself to just, make a game and have people think it's worth getting in the first place, I think it's better to have actual work than it is to have a piece of paper that says like, yo, I'm good. But then on the other flip side of that is like, if you want to have this be a kind of a side gig and then get a quote real job, then you got to have that fucking piece of paper. It's such a catch-22.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have both. I mean, because a lot of people are like one or the other, but I feel like it's always best to be on the safe side. Try to aspire to go for both. Have that portfolio. Having a strong portfolio obviously is very good. People actually want to be able to see what you can do. But having the certificate also is very good. Probably because the certificate shows that you understand some of those technical concepts that maybe don't immediately reveal themselves in the portfolio. Like you can make something that looks really good, but there's probably some technical problems lurking underneath. That's they don't communicate themselves in the portfolio, but you have the certificate, and that tells them hey they know what to do and what not to do and everything.
No, yeah, I mean, if you can manage your time that well and that you can have the best of both worlds, or if you have, I don't know, years of free time to really just go to college. I was in a situation, right, when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old where there was no fucking way I could go to college and support myself like at the same time. And luckily, I got past that point in my life, but now that I'm, I have a lot of work experience and a lot of shit that I do, I can't even imagine like going back to school. I'm not saying like I'm afraid of it. I'm like, I don't see a need for me to do it.
Right. I totally understand that,
Yeah.
And I don't think it's something that everyone has to do, or it's not for everyone, for the people, that can do it or they want to do it, I definitely wouldn't want to discourage them, because I definitely think, for those people, it's definitely a good idea.
So what kinds of things have you picked up, just in your, I guess, 2 years worth of schooling what are you carrying to the table as a result of that?
And when I first went into university, of course, I already knew a lot about programming before I went in. So a lot of what I learned was more abstract concepts, like software engineering, working in a business environment, working as a team, different paradigms and different ways of designing programs and, meeting customer needs, that I didn't know about before, but, are very relevant in the business world.
And networking too. That's another big benefit of going to school is that you're communicating with other people in your field all the time. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Having that, that tree of people, to be able to get in touch with, will definitely, broaden your horizons, help you get your name out there.
So are you mainly just focusing on technical stuff in school, or have you done any other like interesting projects or classes that are worth noting through your school? Because I know I have one friend, Todos, who made a Cyberhook, and he, through his school, was able to work on some games as school projects that ended up being available to sell and everything. I thought that was really neat.
Right. I haven't been able to do anything like that during the course of my schooling. I mean, I've done small projects, of course, for assignments, to show that I understand the concepts, but nothing like, any kind of big project that I did on the side or anything. But of course, I'm hoping that, later on, I can take the concepts I learned. I want to, eventually be able to, take on some projects of my own, kind of build up a portfolio on GitHub, show, what I'm capable of doing, and hopefully use that GitHub portfolio along with that certificate, show potential employers that I have what it takes.
Yeah. There's a lot of really interesting stuff you've done, programming wise and just changes wise with Uber Arena that, already seem to speak towards a pretty good level of prowess. Like you have the item knockback mechanic is really fucking cool because you can like deny someone from picking up an item by just shooting at it or using splash damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or like, let's say there's a red armor on a ledge or whatever, normally I'd have to go around to it, or you have to rocket jump to it and then take some damage. But without a knockback, you just launch a rocket at it and knock it back down to your level. So that, and being able to deny items, that already, I think, these kind of mechanics in Uber Arena, I definitely wanted to add new dimensions of gameplay that preserve all the skill in Arena FPS and just add more skill on top of it, more things to consider, more ways to approach situations, that I think the competitive crowd would definitely find interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting how Quake 3 was the first in the series to depart. It used to be Quake. You're familiar with Quake 1 and 2 for sure, but the the armor system is different. It goes from being a suit system, and in Quake 3, that's when they transitioned to what I call the shard system, right? So the red armor is not any better than the yellow or green armor, other than the amount of armor you're wearing. So even with your knockback mechanic, right? I mean, this is probably just some crazy idea. Probably don't do this, but what if you shot the red armor and the shot, the damage to the armor was equivalent to what it would be, if it were on a person, so that once they pick it up, it's actually diminished.
That definitely is a pretty interesting idea. I have to admit, to be fun to program. I guess my only concern is, communicating with other players, let them know that, hey, this armor is damaged, that this isn't going to give you the full armor. I don't know how you do that, I guess you could put cracks in it, but I guess also maybe it'd be easier for players to see if there was like a bar above it that showed how much, armor value it had after getting knocked away. So that's definitely potential for a cool idea. I don't know if it'd be integrated to the main part of the game as like, a console variable that you can set for, game setting. I think that would be definitely an interesting thing to approach.
Yeah, I think it would be actually probably terrible game mechanic for the player, but it would be very interesting to see something like that programmed. Like as a challenge, I would be interested in seeing that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you have a bunch of other really cool things going on. I like the trampolines. That's one of the coolest things about it. There's not really anything, super, oh my God, what an amazing thing that is. It's just cool. It's a fun thing to do in game, and it changes the mobility a lot in certain areas.
Yeah, the trampoline mechanic, even though it's not the trademark mechanic of Uber Arena, it's definitely my personal favorite because it's kind of beautiful in its simplicity. It's just I was heavily inspired by Portal 2's Repulsion Gel. I'm sure you played Portal 2, and there's a blue gel where if you bounce on it, it reflects your velocity. And so I just transferred that over, to Quake, because I thought that would, I felt that would work really well with Quake's physics. And sure enough, it just feels very natural. And you can do things with trampolines, incorporate them into the map design, and take advantage of the level design in a way that you really can't with other traditional ways of moving players around, like say jump pads or stairs or accelerator pads. Trampolines are a lot more versatile because they don't provide a fixed boost. It's all dependent on how fast you're approaching it and what angle you're approaching them from. And I really strongly feel like if there's any mechanic from Uber Arena that's, so I know there's a lot of, different modern arena FPS titles coming out nowadays. You got Diabolical, which just came out. And of course there's some Reflex Arena. I don't know how active that still is.
Not
but
really.
Of course there's still,
Yeah.
and then there's still others coming out. But, of course I'm trying to, explore ideas, ways that these future arena FPS games can potentially, take some inspiration from. And if there's any one idea from Uber Arena that, that can make it into a future arena FPS game, just one, then I would definitely, want it to be trampolines, because I feel like that one is my personal favorite. I just love the elegance and how it fits with Quake's movement and all. I strongly think it would definitely make a revolution in map design and add a lot of interesting new gameplay possibilities that just weren't there before.
I'd be very interested to see what you could do, in the Qfusion engine. So like something like Warfork or Warsow with that mechanic, because you don't have as much air control in VQ3 movement at all. So the trampoline works in such a way that, you jump off a ledge and you hit it at an angle at a certain speed, and then you go off, basically straight in that opposite and equal direction. But, if you have air control, it totally changes the fucking game. Have you tried Uber Arena with like a CPMA mechanic at all?
Not yet. I haven't tried coding anything like that in just yet. Probably quite a bit of work, and I guess I'm a little demoted. I didn't have much motivation to do it because, of course, I'm trying to pursue new ideas. So trying to remake CPM physics, I didn't really have huge motivation to do. It's like, well, CPM's already done it, and they've already perfected it and done it better. So. But I have approached, people, in the CPM community with a trampoline idea, took a look at it, and and they think it looks pretty interesting. That it would be very interesting to see trampolines with CPM mechanics, and I agree. I think it would be very fascinating to see that kind of mechanic. Those two mechanics be blended in with each other, working together. I think it'd be really fascinating to see.
What about the new weapons, the Uber weapons as you call them? What do you think about them makes them stand out? Because this is the trademark mechanic of the game, really.
Yep, absolutely. That's why it's called Uber Arena. So with Uber weapons, there's a lot of different mods that have upgrade weapons. Isn't a new idea. You have a ton of different mods that upgrade the base weaponry. Like Excessive Plus, for example, but still one of those Quake 3 mods I think still gets a little bit of activity nowadays. But of course, the thing with mods like that is that they tend to not be too balanced. You might start with these weapons, super powerful weapons right off the bat, or they're too easy to get. It doesn't feel like they're well balanced around Quake's gameplay. So what I was wanting to do was to create a mechanic that, was predictable, was practical, but something that could easily be countered, something that was not too overcomplicated, a weapon upgrade mechanic that would, fit very naturally within the flow of standard arena FPS gameplay. And one of my inspirations for the Uber weapons was the Quake mission pack Dissolution of Eternity. And so in Dissolution of Eternity, that mission pack doesn't have any strictly new weapons. but it does give you like alternative ammo types for existing weapons. So you have like a lava nail gun, which shoots nails that do more damage, and also multiplayer they can pierce through armor, multi-rocket launchers, stuff like that. And originally I was going to do something similar for Uber Arena, was to have like alternative ammo packages and like have them on, in place of regular ammo packs at certain points after players pick them up. I had a way of doing it that was deterministic, that didn't try to rely on randomness, because that's one of the goals of Uber Arena, is that the mechanics don't use any random number generators. I wanted to make sure that every mechanic was predictable and deterministic, that could be countered. So that way, if you messed up, that's your fault, and it's not because, the game just happened to pick a random number that didn't work well for you. So that's why I tried with that at first. But I realized that, I don't think it was really practical to be able to keep track of which ammo boxes are going to become super ammo boxes and which ones weren't. So I went back to the drawing board on that. And then I had the idea, because with picking up weapons, usually once you pick up a weapon for the first time, you get the weapon, of course, and then you get the ammo. But then there's not really too much of a reason to go back for that same weapon again, or to get a little bit more ammo, or maybe to deny it from another player, of course. And then I thought, it might be interesting to take advantage of this idea of, what if you went back and collected that same weapon, a few more times, and so that's what the Uber weapon concept, I think, really starts solidifying, is getting 3 copies of the same weapon, and then turning that into an Uber weapon. And I really liked that idea because it was elegant. There wasn't the need to create any new items, in the map. This is something that could be integrated into existing maps without having to add any new items. It's easily counterable. It's based on item control, and if anything, it adds more importance to controlling weapons, which is one of the goals of Uber Arena, is to kind of place more emphasis on ammo and weapon control as opposed to just health and armor control.
Yeah.
And so with Uber weapons, I felt that it's a way of implementing the upgraded weapon mechanic that I feel is very natural, and something that I feel can easily be countered and hopefully work, in a competitive environment. I did make some adjustments for it in duel, though, to make it a little more balanced. In duel mode only, you have a limited supply of Uber ammo that you get when you pick up a Uber weapon. So, like, if you say pick up the homing rocket launcher, which is the Uber rocket launcher, then like in all the other game modes, you get to keep that. It stays with you until you die. But in duel mode only, you only get like 5 Uber homing rocket shots, and then after that you lose them. So you have to make sure that you use them carefully. Otherwise, you don't get to keep your Uber weapon, and then it reverts back to its normal form. And then you got to collect 3 more rocket launchers. And that was in response because I felt that maybe, the mechanic, I guess it was, might be a little imbalanced for duel. I was hoping that with that, by incorporating the Uber ammo mechanic, that it could work out in duel as well and be a little more balanced.
One of the other really cool things is you've added 3 new power-up items. So you've got the Conservation, the Rampage, and the Scavenger. And these are, every single thing you do to the game is going to dramatically change the way that, if you're coming into Uber Arena thinking like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at Quake 3 or Quake Live, like it's a learning process. There's a lot of different things that kind of change the game.
And you're going to be in for a big surprise.
Yeah. So Conservation with the infinite ammo thing, how did you work that into gameplay? What's your idea with balancing that?
So Conservation was actually an idea that I've had for a very long time before Uber Arena. The concept of a power up that just basically gave you infinite ammo. because for a long time we've always had power-ups, like the battle suit, that protected your health, preventing you from losing health and everything, protect your armor, but we didn't really have an equivalent for we didn't really have such an equivalent for ammo, which I always thought was rather interesting. The closest thing we had to that was in the Team Arena expansion for Quake 3, there is a power called Ammo Regen, which is, I guess, kind of approaches that concept. But then they changed that to Armor Regen for Quake Live. So yeah, that kind of infinite ammo thing, and surprisingly, this does not get explored a whole bunch. One thing I did consider, though, was that originally it was just going to be an infinite ammo power-up.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kind of considered, how useful is that really? Because obviously it's useful, but compared to the quad damage burst, for instance, at first glance, they do seemingly, completely different things. Conservation, gives the infinite ammo, and quad damage, increases your damage. But if you're inflicting more damage with each shot of your weapon, then you naturally won't end up using as much ammo. You don't have to spend as much ammunition because you're doing more damage. So in a way, quad damage already kind of does, what conservation does in a more roundabout way. Which, and then I kind of realized, conservation, of course, is infinite ammo, but I don't know how long players really survive long enough for that to be really relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to think of some way for people to have a reason, to collect a conservation power up to give us something, that makes people want to go for it. And then I realized that, the haste power up in Quake 3, for example, that one, of course, increases your rate of fire, which essentially that does. Essentially, if your rate of fire is increased, that lets you output more damage more quickly, which is also what the quad damage does. But unlike the quad damage, since you're firing more quickly, you're using up ammo faster as well. But the thing about haste is that it also has an additional effect where it increases your running speed alongside that. So it compensates for the fact that it eats up for your ammo by giving the player another ability along the side. And so I kind of thought that I could do a similar approach to the conservation, where I would give it an additional effect to kind of offset the fact that kind of give it a duality with the haste power up. Like with the quad damage power up, you have a power up that lets you do damage more quickly and also conserves your ammo. Haste lets you inflict a lot of damage real quickly, but it doesn't conserve your ammo. And so with conservation, I went the opposite route. It's a power up that conserves your ammo, but it doesn't increase your damage output. And so, like how the haste power up has an additional effect that compensates for its disadvantage, conservation has its own side effects. And I decided to take one of the mechanics in Uber Arena and tie it into the conservation power up. And it's not one we touched upon yet, but it's the weapon limits mechanic. So in Uber Arena, there is a mechanic where you are limited on how many weapons you can carry at any one time. You can increase that limit through weapon pouches, of course. But if you try to pick up a weapon and you already reach your limit, then you won't be able to pick it up. But with conservation, in addition to getting that infinite ammo, it also temporarily removes your weapon limits. So it basically makes it like more mobile gameplay for a little while, where you can pick up whatever weapons you want, and you don't have to worry about weapon pouches and weapon limits. You can just, for that period of time.
I think the best and coolest of the new power-ups that you have integrated into Uber Arena is Rampage, because I don't hate the champions in Quake Champions. I don't mind that they have powers, but I think it's cooler in this sense. So, Rampage is something similar to a scale bearer type situation where you run into people and kill them. But when anyone could, it's better for me when you play for the opportunity to do something like that than it is to just have it at your disposal at all times based on the character you picked.
Yeah. With Rampage, it doesn't give you a speed boost or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the kind of things with Rampage is that it rewards players with good movement skills. being able to, quickly go from one player to the next, and being able to, approach them and, intercept them so that, you can touch them and drag them, with rampage.
What else have you got going on, man? It can't all just be Uber Arena. What else is in the books for you?
Not much of the current moment. I am working on a Roblox game right now. Was to kind of experiment with that. So I heard that you can actually make heard you can make some money doing Roblox games, and I thought that might be a way to kind of practice programming skills a bit more while also making a little money on the side, doing something I enjoy. I'm not really a particularly big fan of Roblox, but I mean, it's interesting to be able to, design stuff for it, and hopefully something good will come of it. And in the future, of course, I want to continue to build up my portfolio, and show off projects, to future employers, to, hopefully land me, some regular jobs, doing freelance work.
I had a friend, he went by the name Micro, but he used to make a pretty, substantial little side, hustle. And all he would do is make campaigns. He would program campaigns for like this Minecraft group that I guess just really wanted custom campaigns and they didn't know how to do it themselves. So he would just kind of, what do you have in mind? And then they would pay him, here's $100, make this campaign for us.
I thought about doing Minecraft as well. I guess I'm a little demotivated because Minecraft is so immensely popular and it's been out for so long now that it feels like pretty much everything has been done. At this point, it's like whatever idea I can think of, someone somewhere else has probably already done it.
I think you should just do what you're passionate about, right? Like, because you can always be discouraged by that sort of thing. Like, you can make the equal and opposite argument about Roblox, like, oh, it's not quite as popular as Minecraft, and maybe it's not even worth it because it won't be popular or whatever. But at the end of the day, just like do what you want to do and figure out a way to make it work for you. And I think that's what's important. Discouragement. People can make up excuses and to be discouraged all day long, but there's no. I mean, arena FPS, right? Like that's the least interesting thing going on in the world to most people. And even in the gaming world, but because I love it so much, that's why I talk about it all the time. Yeah,
and I mean that's why I ended up doing Uber Arena too, because I definitely know, when I was making Uber Arena, that I definitely know what's going to be this super popular thing with Arena FPS, being the state it is in and all. But I did it anyway because I really wanted to get those ideas that I had out there just kind of floating in my head, and just kind of I wanted to see what people thought of them, and maybe just inspire developers to take some inspiration from these ideas while also having a nice portfolio piece to show some of what I'm capable of.
Yeah. So do you see yourself making a standalone game at some point, or do you see yourself trying to like work for a studio?
Probably for a studio. Not even close to having the level of skill needed yet, I think, to make a full-fledged game from the ground up. Like, even starting with like a base engine, like let's say starting with Unreal Engine 4, as like say I wanted to start my own arena FPS. I have to build the physics from the ground up, and of course arena FPS, considering how competitive that genre is, it's very important to get those physics as accurate, feeling as smooth as possible. There's very little room for error. Anyone who's taking up an arena FPS game, trying to make one, is it's definitely a huge challenge, and not just because it's because the genre itself it's not very popular, but because there's just a lot of very technical details regarding it, and people are very sensitive to those details. You might not be able to quite touch upon why something feels right, but they just kind of instinctively know it, and having to find that balance is something that is very challenging, and I don't know necessarily if I am up for that, but I have considered it before. It definitely does sound interesting.
I mean, I applaud anyone at all. I mean, I've had many of them on the show, and I give them all the same kind of feedback. Anyone at all who is passionate enough about Arena FPS to make their own Arena FPS game and try to sell it or whatever. Again, I applaud them. But from in a monetary point of view, like if you're trying to actually make a living, it's one of the worst things that you could really invest in as far as games go. There's not just arena FPS, but like competitive online games, period. Not because they're bad or, that people don't like them. It's just there's so much upkeep, right? So you make an arena FPS game, you publish it, and then just dealing constantly, as you said, with what people want, making adjustments, changes, like that never ends. So your time put into that investment will never really be over.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough crowd. There's nothing wrong, with having those, those standards. We absolutely want to get a high quality game going, but it is definitely something to be aware of. That people are very sensitive, to the small details. You absolutely, have to have a good eye for that when you're making a game like that.
Coming up on 45 minutes to an hour here. Do you have anything else that you wanted to get through? Anything you want to get off your chest? Get some confessions to make?
I'm not sure. Was there any other topics related to Uber Arena? Like any other things you liked about Uber Arena think that were interesting? Or
well, for me personally, I'm really interested in seeing what you could do mapping, outside of just Uber Arena or whatever. Like you've already had such an extensive set of accomplishments in Quake and everything, but we have lots of other things going on that I feel like you could contribute to. So, as I said earlier, I would like to see what you could do with the Qfusion engine. Like if you could make some good maps, like CTF maps, or there's a couple of really cool game modes that we've been experimenting with lately. One of them is my favorite, Freeze Tag Arena, which is like Clan Arena, but with freeze tag mechanics. So it essentially accomplishes everything that Diabotical's Wipeout does, and that you're not out of the game when you die once. You continue to come back and respawn. So, and it works the same way in that the entire other team has to be frozen for you to win. So what I really like about that mechanic is that it drives people to be more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Proactive?
Yeah, you have to be proactive in order to be successful at this. You can't just run away like you do in Clan Arena or in Wipeout. It's not about avoidance. It's about you have to freeze the whole other team. And as everyone knows, with freeze tag, you also have these situations where, your teammate's frozen and the other team knows that you're the last one alive, and they also know where you have to go. Like they know you have to go to one of those, 2 or 3 places where a teammate is frozen in order to continue. So it just forces conflict. But I would really be interested to see what you, as a mapper, can do with stuff like this.
Yeah, I've definitely taken a look at Warport. I've always been a fan of Warsaw, which is the game it was based off of. I always loved the feel of the engine and everything. And so I forgot to mention, I actually did make an app for that back in the day too, called Catharsis, and that got a bit of play in tournaments as well. And actually got a little bit of play just recently this year too. Actually came back to it, and got played on some of the Keep servers. It's really interesting, seeing people play it again after like 8 years. It's quite a while. But I think this work, I think the source code is available for it, or at least it's extendable, moddable to the point where at some point in time, it'd be interesting, to experiment and maybe port some of the ideas from Uber Arena and Quake 3 over to Warport, and see how they work with that engine. Like as you mentioned, the trampoline mechanic and seeing how it works with the air control and everything, and maybe porting some of the power-ups and the Uber weapon mechanic and everything, it'd definitely be interesting to see how that works in the game. Yeah.
I think you could do pretty much anything you want. It's just a matter of getting you motivated to try it out.
There's definitely some other ideas I have on the table in the future that I want to try, to experiment with. I won't go over all of them, but like one of the ideas that I have for the future was kind of a time stop power-up mechanic. So you activate it, and it freezes everyone in the arena for 10 seconds, but you can still fire your weapons and pick up items. Of course, the main issue is, trying to balance that out, without it being too powerful. And there are a few other interesting ideas I had as well. I also was a very interesting idea of like anti-gravity surfaces, or like multi-directional gravity. Like have you played Prey? I'm not talking about the new Prey, like the that came out a few years back. I'm talking about like the 2006 Prey game.
No, I haven't played that one.
I mean, I haven't either, to be honest. But I do know that that game has a mechanic where like there's these surfaces that the player can walk on that can make them like walk on walls and upside down and everything. And I always thought, that would be a very fascinating mechanic to explore in arena FPS. With these surfaces, that the player can't adhere to, that or so to make them go upside down, walk on walls and everything. I think that would definitely be a very interesting route to explore. I never was able to program it in the Uber arena. I ran into some issues with like getting the mouse controls to work with the angle changes, and honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe that's kind of an inherent limit with the Quake resource code. Like I have to start making some engine level changes to get to the point where it would feel good. But like in a ground up arena FPS, where they're working with a much more flexible engine, I think that would definitely be an interesting route to take. Of course, the main concern would be like motion sickness. I have heard that like Portal 2 did try a mechanic like that. They used to have a gel called the adhesion gel where the player could use that to walk on walls and ceilings and everything. But from what I heard, like play testers got sick when they tried using it. So I guess that'd be my main concern, is trying to implement multi-directional gravity in an arena FPS without making people throw up. I guess that'd be a big challenge there. I don't know if it'd be possible, or not, but ideally the best thing you could do is, just make, the transitions as smooth as possible, no sudden lurches or anything, but if it is possible to pull off, I think that along with trampolines, would definitely be a pretty interesting route to take with arena FPS, level design.
It kind of reminds me, I don't know why it reminds me of this, but you remember how in Quake 2, right, all the original maps kind of occupy space in essentially a big cube. I could be mistaken about this, but I'm pretty sure it's Quake 2. And so the center of gravity is below all of them. So depending on the particular level you're in, right, the gravity has a different effect on you. Like you can jump higher or, further on some maps because of your relation to the center of gravity in the overall game.
Right.
I don't know. Something you said reminded me of. I think it's just the whole idea of the differential gravity in general.
I do remember there was like a secret map in Quake 2 where it had lower gravity, but it was still fundamentally, you're still falling down and everything. I don't recall anything where it's like gravity going in different directions, but any games that do have that, it's definitely an interesting mechanic.
Anything's possible, dude. You're doing really interesting work, and I mean, I'm glad we finally got you on the podcast. Because when did I first ask you? I can go through
like 2 years ago.
Yeah. At the time, I was really looking for what are some really cool arena FPS mods that I could show off, and you were one of the first ones that came up. Like, oh man, you got to try out. I think Smango was really into your shit. I know a lot of folks in the Keep are going to be really happy to finally hear your voice.
Yeah, sorry for the 2-year wait. Yeah, at the time I was pretty nervous about doing it, but I'm definitely, I definitely feel a lot more confident now, about being able to talk about this, and share what I've been able to do. And especially because, now that I got my social history and everything, and I've made more progress, I'm in a better position than I was 2 years ago. So, there's that to consider too.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we finally did it, man, and I think this is a good time to kind of call it. We're almost at an hour anyway, so.
Sounds good. Well, it was definitely really exciting to be able to get on here, to be able to talk, and definitely look forward to seeing how it turns out. And I'm hoping that maybe sometime down the road, we can try out Eve Arena online. Maybe get some servers running or whatever. To try it out. With the players online. I've only been able to play it online with one person so far for a little bit. I've never been able to really try the mod out for reals with multiple people online. So I definitely think that'd be pretty exciting to be able to do.
Make it so. Let's do it.
All right.
seriously, thank you to Emerald Tiger for finally coming on the show and being such a great guest. Definitely go check out Uber Arena and all of his other work if you get the chance. It's really fantastic stuff. Also, big thank you to Immorpher for the awesome musical track we have playing right here in the background for your haunting entertainment. I actually, while I was listening to the track to choose which one I was going to put in this episode, I had to stop and message him and be like, Jesus, dude, seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why? Why? It's so haunting, so beautiful. But, you know, thanks Immorpher. I love you, brother. Thank you again, as always, to all of our wonderful supporters over on Patreon: Paul, Moose, Dots, Zach, Alexander, Brad, Red Eyes, Anthony, Robert, Jack, Brandy, Fred, and Lord Revan. You are all absolutely incredible. If you're wondering how to support, just head over to inthekeep.com, find the support tab, find the merch tab, do what you need to do. We have lots of shit on there: PayPal, credit card, Venmo. We've got, you know, merch sales, blah, 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 blah. It's all there. And definitely check out our affiliate links. We've got some cool stuff on there. We've got Instacart, where you can get groceries delivered straight to your place. Just go through our link and it'll help us out too. You can also go to Amazon.com. Maybe you've heard of it. Instead of just doing your shopping through Amazon and only giving your money to Jeff Bezos, a little bit of it could be coming back to the Drown God, which will favor you in the Great Judgment. Head on over to Zensports.com if you are into sports betting of any kind, especially esports betting. Head on over there to their website, sign up for their wonderful little app. You can run tournaments off that shit. Promo code ITKPOD will get you $500 in free play bonus when you sign up and make your initial deposit. But until next time, brothers, sisters, lovers, friends, stay in the keep.
Tier 666 in the keep.